Hey everybody, so it's a listing day for me today, and I thought I would list my flatware that I found in that last video. I'll pop up a picture just to remind you here, but the pattern, it's an Oneida pattern, and it was called Oneida Essence. And there's lots of different ways that you can list flatware. If you've come across a large lot of it, you certainly could, if it's a full set, you could list the whole set. One big lot, even if it's not an even amount of pieces, you could go ahead and just list it as one big lot as well. Most of the time I will take a lot or what I find and list it in smaller lots of similar pieces. So like 4 dinner forks, 4 teaspoons, 3 salad forks, you know, whatever, however it works out that I have. And I figure out my pricing and things from there. And I make a separate listing for each one. Now, another option that eBay has is, and I've used it a few times, is variation listings. And I've noticed flatware sellers more and more are choosing this option. I think buyers like it because they might only need 2 salad forks, but now they're forced into buying 4. Things like that. So with a variation listing, they can go to one listing and they can pick 1 salad fork, I need 1 teaspoon, I need 3 dinner forks, and just kind of make their own little lot that they need for their own flatware set at home. So it's really good for the buyer. I will probably use it more and more. But in today's flatware is very interesting. As I was doing the research, I'm going to show you how I did that research as well. But I don't know that the variation is like the absolute best option for the flatware, this particular set of flatware, but I'm just going to show you how to make the listing, and I'm going to go ahead and try it, and then I can make changes to it later as time goes on, and I'll explain that in a minute. But first of all, let's go to my computer. We're going to start with just the basic research that I do. I'm going to show you how I do that. So I'm going to start my research on replacements.com. I already know the name of the pattern. We talked about that in the last video when I found them. But a quick way to find your stainless flatware pattern. I have a whole video about it, but lately the fastest thing that I do is right here on Replacements Limited. In the search bar, there's a little camera. I do this on my phone because I can take the picture right with my phone. But in any case, desktop or here, you can upload a picture of your flatware piece, and they give guidelines on how to do that correctly. Again, I made a video about this, so maybe I'll link that at the end. But anywho, I found the pattern as Essence, and we see that it's from 2001 to 2006. It's from the Ovations line, just information that we can use in our listing, or just to kind of know the age of the flatware and things like that. Okay, so looking down, I'm just using Replacements to kind of get my kind of base price, get an understanding of the pricing of each particular piece. I see like a knife is $12, but a fork is up to $26. Now, I'm not necessarily going to use Replacements pricing, but it is a guideline that I go by, and you can see which flatware pieces maybe will sell for more based on the pricing on replacements.com. So we have European fork, $26. A salad fork is up there at $23.99. But look at this, a teaspoon drops down to $5.99. Now that's interesting. Teaspoons are generally what a piece of flatware that I'm excited to find in a pattern, because dinner forks and teaspoons usually sell the best. Even the soup spoon sells a little bit more, and I have a theory about that. But one thing that I did notice, I'm going to show you as we look over at eBay and what's available and what has sold over there. The lot that I ended up with has this inordinate amount of teaspoons. So I think the sets that sold had extra teaspoons. That's not super uncommon for that to happen. But this one is just like there's over 25 teaspoons in this flatware set. Okay. So the value, if there was a plethora of teaspoons available in this pattern, then the value of those on the resale market is going to be a lot lower. So a replacements price of $5.99, that's not looking so great for selling it on eBay. And you know, I would have to be probably like, I wouldn't want to go lower than $5, you know, but so we'll see what happens with that. And then we've got that. Some of the other pieces I have 3 of these tablespoons, serving spoons, and those are listed at $30. I also have the meat fork, and I have this flat handled master butter knife. So this is just to give me an idea of pricing. So what I do next is somewhere along the line, I make my little cheat sheet, and I've just got some notes so I'm ready when I go to list. So I list how many of each piece I have. I have 8 dinner knives, 7 dinner forks, 8 salad forks, 11 soup spoons, 26 teaspoons, like I said, 3 serving spoons, a meat fork, and a butter fork. So as I'm here in replacements, I go ahead and I use their measurements. I always double check my pieces to make sure I have the right name for the right piece. Like, for example, I have these big tablespoons, and they're very round, which is the style of the spoon in this pattern. They're very round. To me, they look like a casserole spoon, but they do have a casserole spoon listed here, but the picture's not quite the same. But then down a little bit further, we've got a solid serving spoon, which also looks round, but it's got a 9 5/8 inch. And let's see, this tablespoon is 8.5. And I believe I measured mine and they were 8.5. So I'm going to make sure I use that information in my listing, that I just have the regular tablespoon serving spoon at 8.5 inches. Okay, so the size of the flatware piece sometimes can help you to identify it as well. So then we go over to eBay. So I'm just looking at what's available. Sorry, I was still researching some stuff. So I just need Oneida Essence. And so we have 43 results, and see if you notice something as I scroll down. We've got a variation listing, which is what that looks like. We have some soup spoons, we have some teaspoons, we have some teaspoons, variation listing, somebody selling teaspoons and soup spoons, variation, one big lot for 128, but we've got a bunch of teaspoons over here, some soup spoons, and then the forks. Another variation listing, and spoons. And then here's a salad fork. Somebody is selling one salad fork for $16. They just have the one. I opened it up earlier. Here's another your choice. More spoons, a couple knives, more spoons. So do you see what I'm saying? The forks, I'm expecting my forks to sell fairly quickly. So a variation listing in this case, because there are so many spoons available, I might be making a variation listing where my forks sell really quickly. My spoons are going to sit. Maybe the serving pieces will move eventually as well. So anyway, in this case, I don't know, there's no one right way to make a listing. Like, I could definitely just do, I could put my forks in, like my dinner forks in one listing, one at a, quantity 7 or quantity 8, and just let those listings sell out, or I could lot them up a little bit at a higher price. I could even just donate my spoons, because just looking at how long it's going to take to sell, I'm going to make my money on the forks and the serving pieces, and my spoons, I'm like, whatever. Or I could just put them in one big huge lot and just see if someone, and even cross-posting them onto other platforms, people might just want a bunch of nice looking little round teaspoons. So I have a lot of options, but because I wanted to make this video, we're going to go ahead and make a variation listing. And if my forks sell out, my stuff sells out, and then down the line, I'll figure out what to do with these spoons. So let's switch over to solds really quick, and I'll show you what's been happening. Okay, so someone did sell a whole lot for $165. Again, like I said, that's totally an option to do that. Here's a variation listing, has some solds in it, $16.95. That might be their dinner fork, maybe their highest price. And if you open one of these and see what they've sold, you can look over here and drop down, and dinner fork, salad fork, out of stock. Teaspoons are there, plate spoons are there, dinner knives, large serving spoon. Okay, so we kind of, and take my word for it, that happens over and over again when you open the variation listings. So someone did sell 5 teaspoons for $23.75. I would not sneeze at that with free shipping. Somebody sold 1 dinner fork for, I think I showed this comp before, $20 with free shipping. Anyway, there's that other listing we saw. And then someone sold this big bunch of spoons and knives for $100. So I may have an option once I sell off the good stuff. So let's take a look at the variation listing itself. Like I said, I've got all my little notes. We go into Seller Hub. I'm doing this on my desktop. I don't know that you could, I don't know. I don't think it's doable on mobile. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I just have never tried. So I'm going to create my listing. You can ignore this draft down here. I was just playing around with it because I hadn't done one of these in a while, so I practiced before I started recording. And I am going to tell them what I'm listing. So I'm listing Oneida Essence stainless flatware. And I have to, this is the way they make me start. I'm just going to continue without a match. And mine is used for sure. And we get our listing page like usual. Now, normally when I make an eBay listing, I upload photos from the mobile app. But in this case, I got all my photos off my phone into my computer. And you'll see why that is a better way to do it later. So I'm going to add my photos, just kind of like the old-fashioned way. And I've got, let me see if this will, nope. Okay, so I am going to choose all the photos I took. And so the photos that I took, and then I add them in here, and then I got to rearrange them a little bit. But the photos that I took here are, I'll show you which ones I took, how I took it. So I have one picture of one each of all the options that I am going to have available. You saw other people did it different ways. Some people just showed the pattern as their main photo. Then we've got, I just took one picture real quick of the back stamp, and then I've got all the pieces individually. And yeah, okay. And now I can, and I'm remembering, you know, sometimes a teaspoon looks the same as a plate spoon. So I just kind of try to do this soon after I take the pictures, so I remember in what order I did it. Okay, so I've got my photos. I'm gonna do my my title, and this I'm going on the fly, so I may come back and tweak this later. I just want to get this done so that you guys aren't bored out of your gourd watching me kind of fiddle my way through a listing. So one important thing is I put Oneida Essence. You could even put your choice even a little bit like closer to the beginning of the title, just so people see it right away. We have Oneida Essence, your choice, stainless flatware. I could put replacement, and then it's made in Indonesia. Some people like to match up, like I think some of these were made in Korea, so some people like to match up the pieces that they have. And I'm going to go ahead and put fork, spoon, anything else in particular that I think would be important. Like the fork might draw people's attention that it is an actual variation listing, and that forks might be available in it. Okay, so I can go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and hit these. I can fill those in later. My store category is still on hats and caps. So I'm going to change it. I have stainless flatware. I have categories by brand in my store just because that's how I used to sell a lot more flatware than I do now. So they're still set up. And then the eBay category is for single flatware pieces. That's the one we want. Okay, it makes me do a type, so we're just going to throw a fork in there. We've got Oneida. We've got material. We could do stainless steel. Handle material is also stainless steel. The set includes, and well, it's not really a set, but if this is just, you know, ways to get the words in there, then we'll go ahead and throw those in there. And the color is silver. Finish. It's pretty glossy. Okay, let's see what, there's more. I'm not going to go into all those details because it's going to vary depending on how people choose. So here's the important part. After all the item specifics, we've got variations. So we're going to hit edit. Like it says, you can save time and money by doing this. So we're putting all this, could have been like 8 listings. We're making it 1 listing. Okay, I think I figured out what to do. I think it's just eBay being glitchy with me today. So I hit add. Okay, I'm going to add my own attribute. And I'm going to call it piece. Okay, and then I'm going to save it. So now I've got piece. That's the one we're working on. I can just delete these if I want. Okay, so piece is, these are like, you know, it's just kind of the category that you're giving the buyer. Like, here's your choice. Now you can choose by the piece. Okay, and now we're going to add our options to it. And I'm just going to create my own because sometimes, like if it's giving you an attribute that works, like color, it'll auto-populate a bunch of colors that you can just choose, right? Or like this, I'm just going to create my own. So I'm going to say dinner fork, and I'm going to go ahead and add my measurements to this. This just makes it clearer for the buyer what piece exactly that they're buying. Okay, then I'm going to do salad fork. I know this is not going to be super exciting to watch, so maybe I'll speed up this part of the video. Anyway, so you just keep going like this. We've got dinner knife. And I can do, let's see, 8 7/8 inch. Okay, so we have 8 pieces. That's 8 choices for people to make. And that's all you have to do there. So, and like I said, I've added measurements. That's what slowed me down a little bit. You definitely do not have to do that. You can put that in your description or whatever like that. And I'm going to go back and double check the measurements and everything. I got myself wondering now about my casserole, my serving spoon, whether I actually measured it or not. Anywho, so we continue. And so now we've got photos. So our default photos are in here. And now what we want to do is add variation photos. So this is kind of a fun little feature that it says it changes the photos in your listing based on this attribute. So it determines which photos buyers see when they select a variation option. So if a person wants to see the serving spoon, when they click on the serving spoon option, that's the picture that will show up for them. If you look right now, it's just using default. So like if they pick the serving spoon, they're just going to see all these listings, all these photos, like all of them. And so we can change that. So we're going to change it from default photos to our attribute, which is piece. And so now they're giving us the chance to fix it. So this is why it was important to have your photos in. It was important for me to have my photos in the computer, because from here I can't import from my phone. So I'm going to, like, say we're doing the dinner fork. So I'm going to add a photo from here, and this is my dinner fork photo, and I'm just going to add that one. And that's it, I think. You know what? Maybe I'll just go ahead and add the back stamp. You know, I could have done a picture of the back of each of these, but you know, they're not seeing every single one that they're possibly getting. So that's not that important. So then let's add a photo for the salad fork. That one is that one, I believe, based on my memory. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and I'll come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so as you can see, I've got pretty much just one photo in each of the attributes. So when they pick, for example, they pick teaspoon, they see the picture of what the teaspoon looks like and everything. Okay, then we go down here, and this is where we can just kind of make our add our numbers and our prices. So as you can see, we're starting off with the dinner fork. I've got a picture of the dinner fork, and according to my notes, I have 7 of these. And I think for my pricing, I've got, you know, I figured out some of this pricing ahead of time. I'm going to go ahead and do $17.99. No one's got dinner forks listed at the moment, I believe. And then there's another feature later that I'll show you that's why I want to price a little bit higher, I think. Now, salad forks, I have 8. I think I'll do $15.99 on those. I mean, I could go higher on these. I totally could. I do want, you know, I do want stuff to sell. So I have 8 dinner knives, and I'm just going to do $7.99 on those. Now, the gamble that you're doing with a variation listing, and this has happened to us before, is that, okay, so I technically have 11 of these soup spoons. Sometimes I hold one back of something if I'm not particularly confident in the quality of each piece. Like if I've looked and each piece is like identical or whatever, you know, you could hold back a few on any of these if you want, just to cover mistakes or to cover, you know, things like that, replacements you have to send to people or whatever. But at this point, I think I'm just going to make that an even 10. And then for the teaspoons, I'm going to make it like an even 25. I don't know. I can always change these quantities later if I want to. But I have a feeling with the spoons, we're not going to get to the point where I'm selling out of these anyway. And then, let's see, I have I have 3 of these spoons. And I have a meat fork and 1 of these. So let's throw our pricing in here. The place spoons, I think I'm just going to do $5.99. And these I'm only going to do $4.99. So the danger or the gamble is in a variation listing is somebody buys 1. Right? So you've got $4.99. I don't really want to sell something for $4.99 plus shipping. It has happened to us before. This is where if you divided up the set, you know, I could put my teaspoons, like 4 of them together, and do $12 or something like that. And then that's a little bit more worth it. But to use packing and everything for like one just single item. So that's the gamble. That's another thing to keep in mind when you do this. So sometimes it might be better. I did a variation listing one time on a set of flatware that was really desirable. And that actually worked out really good. And I made like over $1,000 on this set of Reed & Barton flatware. And I had some pieces left over, which I probably need to find and relist. But most of it sold over so many months. And because you're selling like individual pieces, you're going to get more money out of it than if I had just sold it as a whole set. It probably would have sold for like $350. But I made $1,000 by breaking it up and having people buy the pieces individually. They're kind of paying for the convenience of getting exactly what they want. So like I said, there is that chance that you're going to sell one item, and that's not that great. I'm going to have to move myself because the page doesn't scroll up anymore. So, no, what did I say? No, I'm in the wrong spot. This is what happens when I try to talk and work at the same time. Okay, $18.99. We're going to do that for the tablespoon, the meat fork. We'll just do $9.99, and that will do $9.99. Okay, let me move myself back over. So that's it. We're all set on that part. So we're going to save and close. We're saving our changes. And now we're back in eBay. Okay, so we've got our variations set up. The pictures aren't up here anymore because they're down in the variations section. Oneida Essence, your choice, stainless flatware. Let's go ahead and copy that one. I'll use it in my description. Okay, we did the variations. We've got our photos down here. We're gonna throw this down here in descriptions. This is just how I do stuff. This doesn't have to be how you do it. Now I have like a blanket statement I use on pre-owned flatware. I just do signs of use consistent with pre-owned flatware, such as from washing, stacking, and storage, would fit in well with your everyday set. Okay, and then I copy that. And I throw that down here. And let's see, do I need to do anything else down here? Okay, I'm in the way again. I'm so used to my what sold videos, my circle can just be over there. Okay, would fit in well with your everyday set. And then I might just make like an instruction statement. Choose from the drop down menu to see what pieces we currently have available. Hopefully that typing's not too loud for you guys. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to put in there. Pricing is all set the other way. Now volume pricing. This is kind of why I was like, maybe I should be up a little bit higher on some of the pieces, because it's kind of nice to do that. Offer a discount when buyers purchase more than one item at a time. So if I click that, okay, so you can do like buy 2, save 10, buy 3, save 15, buy 4, save 20. I usually just skip those and I just do buy 2, save 10. So it's like 10 or more. Okay, if they buy more than one item, they'll get 10% off. So that's usually how I do that. Now shipping, we're just going to put the price of one. And let's see, it'll be about 4 ounces for like one piece. Let's go ahead and put 10. Okay. And then it'll just calculate the shipping based on like the weight. And I can, so that's like an estimate calculated, and I can throw my calculated shipping rule in there. I think my calculated shipping rule is set up to discount for multiples, but that also helps with, the volume pricing. If the shipping ends up being like crazy high because of how many pieces that they buy, the volume pricing can kind of help offset that, hopefully, in their mind. Otherwise, I would just do a refund or whatever. I actually could drop the ounces on that, and that would probably work out. I just don't want to get stuck if like a person just buys one and then they don't pay enough in their shipping. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? I am going to go ahead and list it, and then we'll take a look at it, okay? I can always stop it and fix stuff if I need to. It's thinking. eBay's kind of glitchy today. Let's view our listing. Okay, so we've got save up to 10 when you buy more. It's giving $4.99 each. Nope, we need to end this. Hold on. Total false alarm. I panicked for a minute because, and I was reading something about how eBay sometimes changes how they show a variation listing. So it's kind of frustrating. But anyway, I've got Oneida Essence. So I went ahead, I looked at the listing again. And so it's showing $4.99 just as like that's the price. But if I haven't chosen a variation. So if I choose dinner fork, it jumps to $17.99. Okay. And then it shows me the right picture. If I choose salad fork, it shows me the right picture and the right price. So, and then if we look at like teaspoon, we've got that. It just jumps around a lot. So $4.99 the teaspoon, and it shows how many is available on the screen right there. So everything is working as it should. I just had a little bit of a like, what am I doing wrong? This is totally how you're supposed to do it. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too confusing for you on how to make a variation listing, especially for flatware on eBay. I hopefully when I edit the video, I'll be able to kind of cut out a lot of the confusion that I had on that. There was one section of just trying to figure out how eBay was displaying my listing. So all is good. I will keep you posted, especially in my what sold, if any of the pieces from this flatware set sell. Leave me a comment down below if you have any questions. Sometimes I do things that are kind of second nature to myself as I'm listing, but if you're newer, maybe you had a question about a certain step that I didn't quite explain or cover very well. Variation listings, they're up to you. It's just another tool that eBay offers. Some people, and it's a learning curve. Like once you've got it down, like I haven't done one of these in a really long time. And so it took me a minute. I kind of practiced, and then even as I was doing it live, so to speak, you know, I was running into questions as well. But now that I know how to do it, it's super fast. You know, the things that you need to remember, I need to remember to have my photos on my computer, and it helps to have all my information set ahead of time. And I figured out how to get those variations typed in and not triggering any of eBay's little glitches that they like to have. Okay. Let me know if you've ever used the variation listing before. If you have any other questions about listing flatware, I do have, you know, a couple other videos, and I will link the video now for that one about identifying your flatware pattern. Have a good thrifting, reselling weekend.